after now.
All right, thank you so much. I actually forgot
Yeah.
to start the recording myself. Yeah, so moving on. What was I saying? I've forgotten. Forgotten. Okay. Please, can somebody remind me? Like, I have a lot of things. What was I explaining? Sorry.
You were talking about the demo. You're talking about something about user research demo and yeah, persons to volunteer to share their screen and stuff. So when it's time, we'll not start dragging back.
Thank you so much. So, how many of us want to volunteer for the one-on-one interview and the focus group session? The focus group session is flexible. I just need one person to demo one-on-one interview. Okay, Faith wants to volunteer. Is there anyone else in case Faith's network is not good at that time or something happens? Anyone else want to volunteer?
Good evening. Please, I want to ask what time will the interview take place?
Like right now, today, during this class.
Okay, yes, I would love to volunteer.
Okay. So thank you very much. I want everybody to participate in this class. Like it should be interactive. Let's talk to one another. Let's like that's the goal of research is for you to like be able to converse. You should also be able to like talk to people. You should be able to talk to even strangers, people you don't know, and all of those things. So let me share my screen so we get started. Share entire window. The entire screen. Okay, so let me know if you can see my screen. Uh, can we see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
I hope we don't have new persons joining us today. So I will need to introduce myself again. Would I? Don't worry, never mind. If I must, my name is Fatima Umi Abdulkadir. I'm a product designer. I work with Web3D Media, and we are building decentralized app for creators. So we're building something like Icon Scouts, Icon Scouts or Free Pick, where you can get design assets that you can use on your design. But this is tailored to Web3, so you can get assets you can use to design your Web3 projects. That's it basically. So today we are going to be doing hands-on, like I'm going to be showing you hands-on guide on US research based on what we discussed yesterday. So moving on from that, I'm going to like demo to us how you can do real interviews. And then we are going to use some case studies, then you're going to ask questions and all of those things you want to do. So I'll be recapping on UX research, and then we can move on to the deal of today. I'm choosing user interviews, surveys, usability testing, focus group, and then these others comprise of many other things that are just around UX research. So I chose some user interviews because that's like the most easy to access research method, and surveys, those are like budget friendly, time friendly. You won't have issue of there's no time, there's no money, all of those things. Budget friendly research methods that people use. Focus group is not very budget friendly, but you can learn it as well. Usability testing is something you have to be doing probably on your day to day as a designer, or if you want to validate your design decisions. So can we hear me? Let's confirm please if you can hear me.
Yes. I hear you.
Okay, so I have two case studies here. Depending on the use case of like when we are, probably is it depending on you guys what you want us to go with, and depending on the use case, like which case study is more appropriate for which section of the class, then we use either of the two. The first case study is Find Menu. This is a pro bono idea I worked on one time with two other designers. I think it's a platform for people to find restaurants around their location. So the Find Menu is just research. It's only research I did on this, so we can use it as case study to learn research here, to learn UX research right here, right now. Then ChatGPT is an open source tool I worked on for designers and teams to validate their design process. So it's more like a tool that you can use to use as a guide when you're working on any project. You can just use it to see what processes you're supposed to use. Like for instance, we give you assignments, then you want to do some things around the assignments, you can use that to guide yourself on the processes you should take to execute the assignment. That's like, I'm looking at the assignment like a project or a product. So that's the two products or the two case studies we'll be using to learn UX research proper, in practical. So doing a recap on our previous class yesterday, I mentioned to us UX research methods. That's I explained evaluative research method and generative research method, where I told you generative research method is when you are working on new ideas, and evaluative is when you want to test something from existing ideas or existing products, existing experiences. So I also went on to talk about deliverables you can have after your UX research, and that's dependent on the research method you use. It depends on this research method you use, kind of determines the kind of deliverable you can bring out to communicate your research findings or to give reports on your research findings. Am I talking to myself?
No, we are hearing you.
No, can hear you.
Okay, so the next step from that is actually you knowing how to choose a research method. Like, how would you know that this is the research method I should use to execute this project? And having made it easy with new idea and existing idea, I know that I'm supposed to use generative research method for new idea, and I'm supposed to use evaluative research method for existing idea. I still need to be able to choose from the pool of research methods under evaluative research and generative research, as well as probably quantitative research, qualitative research. And I realized I didn't mention primary and secondary research, so I will give that to you to Google that and find out what that means. It's not a big deal. It's something that you can easily know. Like, I can easily tell you right now, but then I want you to do that. So choosing a research method, the first thing you want to do when you're choosing a research method, you want to identify why you want to conduct that research. Why do you want to take on this research? What are you looking to achieve with this your research? So if you for instance, and I gave example, I'm using what's this case today? I'm using the Find Menu. Find Menu, I told you, is a platform for you can use to find restaurants. Yeah. So get better understand. I'm using that as example here for me. I've identified why I want to conduct this research is for me to get better understanding of how to address key problems in the restaurant space. So if you look at this, and it's kind of not tailored towards the problem I'm trying to solve with Finding Menu. I've not even told us what we're doing in Find Menu, or why there is need for Find Menu, which is the reason for the research. The research is supposed to the Find Menu. We are supposed to know why we should is that product needed. Will restaurant owners be willing to use that product? So then the next step is define the goal of the research. So I gave example here as to understand the market needs, to measure and gauge the interests of users who eat out. So let me share Find Menu documentation. Where is it? User interviews and surveys. So find menu now. Let me not rush the things I'm showing you. So I said you should identify the research goals. Can we see my screen? Can we still see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I said we should identify the research goals. So with from that, here I have the research goal for find menu. I said understand the market needs. Want to know whether the people are like what do users want in terms of research in the research space. You know, I mentioned earlier to gauge the interest of users in the research in the restaurant space. So I also want to measure and gauge the interest of users who eat out. People that go to restaurants are basically people that eat out. If you notice, I'm having like a flow of understanding who my persona is, the person that eats out. Then the next thing is for me to define the user persona. The next thing is understand user journey for users who eat out. That means I'm trying to translate their physical experience, like what happens in real life, and I want to translate that into what I'm designing for or what's not even designing. I want to use that to like inform the insights I want to report for find menu as a product. Then insights for the need of restaurants, like does it matter, will restaurants even be interested, like general insights around this. So these are my research goals or research objectives. So let's go back to our presentation. So that's it about this defining the goal. So the next step is for you to create research questions. Excuse me. So create research questions in the sense that sorry, 1 minute. So create research question. This is not the question you're asking the user when you are doing your research. This is like research question, general question your research is answering. So are users interested in a service that provides them with the information about restaurant before visiting? That's an example. Then the next thing for you to do is identify research. I don't understand. Identify research methods that would address the UX research needs. The UX research needs here covers the goal, the questions I'm trying to answer, the objective I identified from before, and all of those things, why I want to conduct the user experience research. Then the next step is for me to now, after I'm done with all of those processes, I'll be able to choose easily what kind of research method I should use to gather these findings or make these findings on this product find menu or check DP. So when you're trying to choose a research method, you need to keep in mind the available resources, the budget, access to target audience, the time you have to conduct this research, and the kind of information you are looking for. So let me go back to check what's the name of find menu rather. Let me go back to find menu. Find menu. Alhamdulillah. So, I've jumped. You've already identified the research methods. Let me go back again. I want us to like get the flow, get this flow so that when you are doing it, you understand like the thing. How do I say? It's coming to you naturally what to do next and how to do what you want to do next. I don't know if you get me. Can we hear me? It's so quiet.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you so much. So then to identify research method now, I want to having in mind the questions I've brought up, the research goal, it means that I need to talk to persons that eat out. Persons that eat out, where is it? The research goal. I need to talk to persons that eat out. Can that person mute their mic, please? So I want to talk to persons that eat out, because from here I know that this product is actually for persons that eat out. So I need to talk to persons that eat out to know whether they want this kind of product, whether they will use this product, and whether they would welcome the whole idea. And also restaurant owners, because they are also users. Restaurant owner, would they be willing to onboard themselves? Would they be willing to join this platform, like put themselves on? Would they be interested in allowing themselves to be on a platform that allows their customers to find them? Probably I travel to a location now and I want to eat and I'm new there. I don't know the restaurants that are available there. So I want to know the restaurants that are around the location I'm currently in. Then I also want to be able to choose from those restaurants based on the information this app has given me. So that's like a selling point for you to like tell a restaurant to be interested in what you're doing. But that's by the way. So when you're done with choosing your research method, the next thing is for you to like document entries from the previous step. That's why we have this here find menu. Research objectives, as I've told us earlier, is to understand the market needs, measure and gauge the interests of users who eat out, define user persona. Like I want to know further the personalities and behaviors of persons that eat out, understand user journey for users who eat out, and gather insight for the need of restaurant. Like would the restaurants be needing this service or this product? So now I've chosen research methodology. We chose one-on-one user interviews. This one-on-one user interview, under it we still have like rolling user interviews. Rolling user interviews is the kind of interview you do like I'm having a conversation with you randomly, like we're just friends, and I can just randomly ask you question. Like not like it's not like something you as a researcher, you know what you're doing, but the person you're speaking with won't even regard it as anything. It just feels like you're asking them random question, or you're trying to like get their opinion about something. That's what rolling interview is. So Twitter posts, you can use any tool that is available to you that you think will give you the answers you're looking for to carry out your research. It's very flexible. It's not like rigid that you must use Google Meet or you must use Zoom or you must use, like, if Zoom will help you uncover the insights you're looking for on your research, use Zoom. If Facebook is going to help you do that, use Facebook. So that's why we chose Twitter polls. People will be able to vote that like I will get numbers from this. I'm getting qualitative data because people will vote. This person will say yes, this person will say no. I'm giving an example as yes or, like, for instance, I post a yes or no question. Then surveys basic to help me get numbers, because I want to gauge people's interest. Would they be interested in this thing? So I'll explain further when we get to interview and when we get to survey. Okay, we also did competitor analysis. Competitor analysis here, Airbnb is not the entire feature of the program. Google Maps, if you check Google Maps, you'll be able to see restaurants on Google Maps. That's a way for people to find restaurants without needing my app. There's yellow pages. I don't know that. There's menu pages. There's peak. Like, these are just competitors I keep in mind that I'm building something around. So you can do competitor analysis. We didn't do that, but like these are people, like when you're working, you want to know things that already exist in the space they are working. Like what products or system are already in place that are solving the problem you're trying to solve, or that's doing similar thing, not entirely solving the problem, but they are doing something around what you are doing. So I'll go back to our slide. So the next step is for you to actually choose recruit your research participants. In this case, you need to talk to persons that fit your target audience. I'm looking for users who eat out. I'm looking for persons that eat out. In this case, I just want to know, do you eat out? Do you go out to eat? That's all. And I will recruit you. I'm not concerned. This product is not concerned about your age. So long you eat out, it's not concerned about whether you live in a certain location, except I'm building for that location. For instance, now I want to build for people in Lagos. So my questions would be around Lagos, and my participants would be from Lagos, because that's where I'm shipping my app. Probably I'm shipping the first version of my app in Lagos. So all my participants can be from Lagos and insights can be from Lagos. But it doesn't stop me from getting from other places. Then this research space is basically, the product I'm building, or what the findings I'm looking for, is it about the physical, like real life, or is it something I can get? I mean, digital is real life. Let's get what I'm trying to say whenever I say real life. Yeah, so digital, like digital. Oh,
Yes.
okay. So digital, like the way I send out surveys, that's something digital. For physical now, I'll think about flyers, dropping flyers. Will those persons that I'm targeting, this my target persons, would they see my flyer, and how will I get back my data after they must have done something to my flyer, or what kind of information? I won't be able to give more context to physical because I've not done physical research, UX research before. I've only done market research. And in this case, I went to market to ask vendors, but that's not a case study, but something around that. I'm just trying to paint a picture of physical, and you looking for physical, like physical, or no, you looking for real data, no, real life. I'm still looking for the best words, the best words to explain this physical, but I hope you got what I'm trying to say. Do we?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So this is a bonus. This makes work easier. This is how it's made work easier for me. Like, define the problem things. Like, for instance, now I want to build something for users, or let me say I want to make findings about people that eat out. What are those key things that are unique to persons that go to restaurants to eat? Things like I need a menu, things like how do I choose restaurants? That's my restaurant choice. Things like location, things like proximity, is the restaurant close to me, like those unique things that actually influence my decision. That's what I use as themes and use cases. Then you create hypotheses. So I'm going to take us to mind menu again, but then 1 minute, let me be done with this page. Oh no. So you create research questions around the use cases and team. So these research questions now, you creating this research question based on these themes, that means you create general assumption. Previously I said research question. This is a different research question. This is actually the question you want to ask the targets, your participants. This is actually the question you want to use to make your findings. So you ask them, you make assumptions on your own, like what do people currently assume about certain things. Like, if you are not doing the research alone, if you brainstorm on things, that random things or general things, general mindsets that people have about the use cases and team, and you can now create questions around it. So what did I have? Can be survey question, interview question. It should be centered around the big question you need answers to. So let me go back to our find menu. So we've not even spoken about the tools that you are going to use for your research. I think I spoke about documentation, documenting all of those things. 1 minute. Yeah. Documenting one of those things. Actually, am I even reading my slides? You can use Notion, you can use Google Docs, you can use Word, like anything. There are others like Crafts, like anything you want to use to actually document your UX research, and anything that is digestible to the persons you are reporting to. Like, if I want to send my report now, research, all my findings, all my documentation of research, I want to send it to somebody. Will it be easy for the person to use? Will the person understand the content I have on it? You consider all of those things before choosing a tool. So I use Notion mostly. Like I use Notion. There is Craft. I use Craft. I started using Craft recently. I don't know their full URL, but it's Craft that it's called. So let's move on to find menu. So on find menu, I said you are going to like choose use cases and teams, and also you are going to recruit. Let's start from recruiting. So my research audience are users who eat out, because they're the persons that go to restaurants, they actually eat out. So restaurant owners, to know whether the restaurants would be interested, that kind of question, then, or that kind of scenario. So the next thing I talked about was use cases and team. So now, when will this app be needed? When somebody is trying to choose a restaurant, when somebody is trying to, like, if I want to check pricing, or like how expensive is food in so and so restaurants versus how food is in another restaurant. Then the menu, what kind of dishes do those people cook, or do they sell, or you get what I mean? Then customer service, how is their customer service in the restaurant? These things shape my decision. Like, they influence the decisions I make if I want to choose a restaurant. Then the location, this is where you think about the proximity. Is the place close to me, and all of those things around location. Is it safe? What kind of, how is the place, and all of those things. You can even add others. Maybe you want to add the appearance, the aesthetics of the restaurant, like interior design, all of those things. You can add it if that is something you want to cover in your research findings, or in the app if you want to build something around that. So the next thing is for you to like create question. This question will help inform the kind of question you further create, because it's not easy to create questions that you want to ask your users, and it's not easy to actually have interview questions that you want to ask your users. So you need to do these things beforehand, so you would know what you're doing, and you also be informed when you're doing what you're doing. So the big questions for find menu here: are users interested in a service that provides them with information about restaurant before visiting? That's question you need answered to you, like when you brainstorm, you figure that out. Then thinking also, are restaurants open to reveal sensitive data point about their business? Like, if I visit a restaurant, because for a user to use my app, they need to see menu and pricing. So if I visit a restaurant to get their menu and pricing, would they be willing to give me that information? These are big questions. Nice to have like barcodes that can scan, and like these are like big high level things that you want to use to help you go to the narrowest level of your research. The data analysis for restaurants, such as most ordered food, least ordered food, times most orders. These are all the information that kind of help you choose, help you like choose or create research questions, or inform the kind of questions you ask your research participants. So are restaurants willing to pay for such a platform? Like, if I'm monetizing the find menu, will restaurants pay because I'm giving them access to customers and I'm making them findable to customers? Will they be willing to pay? And then after you've done this, probably like you now start talking about the business model and all of those things. That's just by the way. But these are the things that help you go to that level, like at this level, high level. Then the first thing we have is restaurant choice. This is drilling down to how you create questions, how you craft questions that you want to ask your users, because you won't immediately know that, or it won't be easy for you to just decide on questions to ask, depending on the kind of problem you're trying to solve. And we have vast problem space. Somebody can just come to you with a very weird, it's not weird because they're paying for it, a very weird idea, and you need to translate that idea and build something for that idea. So you create hypotheses, true or false assumptions about restaurant choice. So the first one we have here, we said Are we still following? Can we hear me?
Yes.
All right. Are we
Yes.
enjoying the class so far? Like, is it making sense?
Yes, it's making sense.
All right, thank you. So the next, we now craft hypotheses around restaurant choice, all the use cases and themes. This will help me narrow down the questions I'm asking, like, and also know the questions I want to ask. So restaurants on the island. Now this is still up to Lagos. Restaurants on the island are more classic and luxurious. The next one is people's choices are influenced by other people. Like you're just dropping false assumptions people have about restaurant choices. People's choices are influenced by other people. It means like some people, like if I hear somebody post something about certain restaurants, I would want to go to that restaurant. That's what I mean. A perfect interior and ambience to take pictures. Exactly what I was saying earlier. Restaurants on the island are generally more expensive than those on the mainland. Some, like you're just bringing true or false. These things don't have to be true. Like anything that comes to your head or anything that somebody has said before around the use case or theme you are currently trying to drill down on. People already have restaurants saved that they want to visit. People are loyal to certain restaurants. Some persons' culture and religion influence their choice of restaurants. Some persons, the traffic in a restaurant makes people curious and want to visit. Like, yeah. People choose restaurants to prove they belong to a certain class of people. I mean, if we are getting the jerk right, like
Yes.
all of these all of these assumptions are just you're just dropping them so that you will know the question you want to ask your users. People go to restaurants to connect with other people or for a business meeting. People do that. People choose restaurant. They can usually host celebrations, birthday, wins. People go to restaurant if there is a good parking space. People want to go to restaurant where there is no crowds. Onye wants to say something.
Yes, people also go to restaurants for dates.
You see, I didn't write that. I
No.
forgot. So my questions will now be: what's your choice for locations of restaurants? Is it mainland or highland? Like, remember what the first hypothesis. Now you are curious: is the person how do they choose restaurants? Why did you choose that restaurant? Why are you choosing restaurants on the mainland, or why are you choosing restaurant on the island? So let me see, how do you decide on a restaurant to go to? That's like another thing you want to know. This like inform you of the questions you want to ask. You can ask them why. You get the reason. Does the reason apply always? This like you are trying to create questions now, survey question or interview question. We just gave it name. From here we pick survey questions. From here we pick interview questions. From here we pick things that we want to make findings on. So a mix of open-ended questions and close-ended questions. So open-ended questions, I think I'll explain that when we get to the interview stage. So where was your most recent restaurant visit? We can see my screen here, so I don't have to read everything for us. Where was your most recent restaurant visit? Is it the mainland? You're actually trying to validate all of those your hypotheses or confirm those your hypotheses if they are wrong or right. What do you think about the cost of food in the restaurants? When you plan to visit a restaurant, do you or usually have specific food in mind, or do you make that decision when you get there? These are things that actually affect what you do when you decide to eat out. Do you have a go-to restaurant, like you are a constant customer? Is it because they are giving you money, like incentives, or they are giving you extra food? All of those things. When you plan to visit, do you usually consider other things, or is it just the food? Once the food is good, I'm going to visit the restaurant. What do you always want to see in any restaurant you visit? How do you like the traffic of the restaurant you visit? How do you like the traffic of the Okay, that's a repetition. So that's the first. These are questions you crafted from the hypothesis you've been able to create. So the next thing is now pricing. Like we have a team pricing, right? So you now do the same thing for pricing. The same thing you did for survey, you did for um restaurant choice. You are doing the same thing for pricing. Now, yeah, I'm not going to drill down too much on this. You can read through. People compare pricing of certain restaurants before visiting. These are like true or false assumptions you have. True or false assumptions you have about pricing, like food price or dish price or anything, all the cost of going to a restaurant, the cost of eating outside. Well, people don't want to pay taxes when paying for their food, and if you go to some restaurant, there is tax in the money they are collecting. People don't care to read their receipts after payment. Some people do. You can see right that some people care to read their receipts after payment. Like, there's no right or wrong thing here. You're basically writing all the assumptions that will help inform the questions you're asking. After that, we do the same thing here. Survey question. This is a mix of open-ended question and closed-ended question, because there will be times you ask open-ended question and there will be times you ask closed-ended question. I'll explain that later. The same thing for menu, the same thing for customer service, the same thing for location. Like, crowded restaurants are always close to people's residence. People choose restaurant location that are generally considered safe. All of these things. Survey question: do you have reservation for restaurant choices when it's about their location? Why? How often do you visit restaurant far from your home? Do you go? Where do you go? All of those things. So provost survey and interview question. After you've done this, these things are just they are like things you create, like a template or things that you use as guide to create what you actually want to use, because some questions here are not proper for you to ask the users. Some questions are leading questions and you don't want to ask leading questions, and some questions you don't want to ask them because they won't give you the kind of insights you're looking for. Excuse me. So So propose survey and interview question. Now, this the time you are now creating the question you want to ask, the questions you want to ask the users. For user interviews, you mostly want to ask open-ended questions, questions that will lead to another question. Not question that when I ask you answer yes, I won't know the next thing to ask because you basically told me yes, and that's like a close-ended question. So, like, how often do you eat out? I did not ask you how many times do you eat out. I asked you how often do you eat out. Where was your most recent restaurant visit? Do you always look up or check out a restaurant before visiting? If you say yes, this is a close-ended question, but if you say yes, then how often do you do that? I mean, I didn't ask you how do you do that, or like I didn't ask you how many times you do it. What do you look at? Like, do you have specific things you are looking at? I didn't tell you. I didn't give it to you that do you look at the environment? Do you look at their menu? I didn't ask you whether you look at what will I use as use case here? Their menu, the interior. Do you look at the interior? All of those. Do you look at social media to see reviews? I didn't ask you all of those. I asked you what do you look at so that you'll be able to be flexible enough to give me all kind of answer. Do you always know the restaurants you want to visit? Like, I want to eat now. I know where I want to go to eat what I want to eat. Do you always know that? How do you decide on food you want to eat? Like, all of these things. Do you have reservation for restaurant choices when it's about location? Like, I'm choosing questions from all of these things. It's not like I'm asking them all of these things here, but I'm choosing from there to actually decide on the real questions that will actually make sense or add value to the findings or research I'm trying to execute. So, what satisfies you the most in your customer service experience so far? What will you like to change? Survey questions. Now, survey questions are different kind of questions that you need to ask different kind of questions for survey question, because you don't have the liberty to or you don't have the flexibility to ask them some kind of questions. Survey questions, people don't have time. You want to consider that they don't have time, or it's not everybody that will be willing to give out information. It's not everybody that will be willing to type all of those things when you are creating survey questions. So you want your question to be short, you want the survey to be short, and you want your question to be to be something that I don't need to crack my brain to answer. So, do you eat out? I'm assuming the answer to this would either be yes or no. So from here, I'm able to choose. If somebody that doesn't eat out fills my survey and the person says no, I'm already screening out the entry from this person, because the person doesn't eat out. It means I won't get valuable data from this person. So it's my choice to go deeper and see whether the person gave me insights that will inform my design, or that will inform my research. How many times did you go out to eat at restaurant last month? This is helping me know, gauge that does this person actually eat out. Like, you answered yes, do you actually eat out? If I know the number of times you went out to eat, I'm able to understand that, okay, this person goes out to eat, or this person doesn't goes out to eat. Yeah, like, you're getting the flow of how the question is coming and how you're able to validate, because you can't truly validate. I mean, all of you fill surveys, right? And there are sometimes you just write things randomly, and there are sometimes you actually give it a thought before writing, and sometimes you just write randomly because you want to fill the survey, because probably somebody begged you to help them fill survey and you filled it. Are we still with me? Am I talking to myself? It's so quiet.
I can hear you.
Yeah, you're still
I
with
can
you.
hear you. We're with you.
Okay, so do you always go out alone to eat out? How often do you go with company, like with friends? Aside from eating at restaurant, what else do you do? Is it just eating? Do you always go to eat? Like, now you're thinking about other features you can add to the app. So then we mentioned that Twitter post will be part of the survey part of the research tool, or research method rather. So we did not get to this stage before we ended this research. So I'm going to use another thing as case study henceforth. This is just to give you clear insights on actually starting a research project or doing something around UX research. Basically starting, and how to choose methods you want to use for your research. Whenever you want to visit a restaurant for the first time, what do you look out for? This can be a poll. Now people can choose the customer experience, people can choose pricing, people can choose menu, people can write order. With this, I will be able to prioritize on what I'm building in the platform. I think this is the only Twitter poll. Let me check. Yeah, that's the only Twitter poll. Okay. Whenever you are at a restaurant to eat, what other things do you partake in? I just eat and leave. I take pictures of the food. I take pictures of food and myself. Like, you're just giving them options of things, general assumptions around the subject or the question you're asking, so that you prioritize on which one happen frequently. When you're at a restaurant, how do you like to pay for others? Are we integrating payments to this platform? So what would they use to pay mostly? Is it card? Is it cash? And all of those things. Do you understand what I've been explaining so far?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I do.
Thank you for your feedbacks. They are really helpful. Like, helping me know that you're understanding, and I'm actually giving you the right information. So that's okay. We've covered this. So now we are going deeper into user interviews. User interviews are qualitative earlier. So user interviews are example of qualitative research methods. They allow you to get user insights on topics in order for you to learn about their needs, motivations, pain points, all of those things. Usually, if you have about 5 or 7 participants, is usually enough for you to get the information more, if you have the time and the strengths and all of those things, and you can do more if you've not gotten the information you are looking for. So everything is dependent on the time, the budget, the access, all of those things, that depending on the kind of problem you're trying to solve, and depending on depending on what that's or the problem you're trying to solve, all of those constraints I mentioned. So I gave tips that you can use to do interviews. Create a safe space for the participants. Ask permissions if you want to record. Communicate the goal of the research. Ask open-ended questions. This is very important. Keep conversation natural. Let it not be like, it's you are scripted, or what you have a scripted way of doing the research. Like, If I ask you A, you answer B. Let it be natural. Let it be like we're having a normal discussion. React neutral. Like for instance, a user tells you that I can eat 10 Indomie super pack in one sitting. You now say, oh my god, like you need to like keep yourself together instead of reacting, like showing that your reaction. Instead you repeat what they say and actually probe further when you're asking the question. So the next step is for us to demo. Hey God, I've forgotten the name of the person that volunteer. 1 minute, 1 minute. Let me think. Faith. Faith, are you present?
Yes, I
I
am.
okay. Okay. Let me stop presenting for now. So we want to start research. So I'll turn on my video so that you'll be comfortable. I'm turning on my video because I want you to be comfortable when you're answering my question, and I want you to feel like you're talking to a person, and it's what I'm doing with you is not scripted. Like it's something that is flowing well, and you I hope you understand like the need for you to always like have your video on, but it's not like you must do it, but if you can do it, definitely do it, because it will help you actually, it will help the participant feel comfortable with you, or the research person feel comfortable with you, and they'll be able to give you answers that like they'll be able to, because they are seeing your emotion, like they're seeing your reaction to their question and they're giving you. So Pete, are you here? We can get started. I've not even decided on what kind. Okay, we'll just use find menu. Can we? Okay, we use find menu. Find menu. So I need to like, we're trying to demo everyone. So Faith now. So I'll be like Faith, hi, or should we just go ahead and demo? Faith, how are you? Welcome.
I'm fine. Good evening.
Yeah, how is work and everything? How is it going?
It's going on well. Things fine.
Okay. Okay, I can decide to introduce myself first, or I can decide to do small talks like my name is Fatima, I'm this and that. Then I'm going to go on to tell her the goal of this research. Like I'm trying to, this research is, no, let me not use find menu because I don't have, I didn't plan on doing research, so I won't be informed on the kind of question. I didn't I'm intentionally carrying out research, I would know the questions to ask. So I'm going to use check DP, check design process. So check design process is a platform that designers or teams can use to validate their design process. So right now I want to get informations from you that, like, I want to get how you and how you come up with your design decisions, what influences your design. So, but before I came to interview stage, I have questions, like I've got responses from survey. So inform the question I'm asking praise. So one moment, let me the questions from the survey on check the question. I'm asking questions so that I will validate the answers I'm getting from the survey. I've gotten from the survey, because you can't always trust what's on your survey based on what I told us earlier on people. I'm going to still explain surveys later. So I'm just going to be like, I told do you face this the design process addresses some problems. So we start with the problem it's addressing. Like we're trying to like see whether this is actually a problem. Is this a problem that people face? So do you face any form of challenge? Say you don't face any challenge now. Have you faced it in the past? Something like that. So I said yes or no or maybe. What were the challenges you faced? Now you can write, this is me stressing them to write the challenges they face, because I don't want to list out the I don't want to list out the yeah, man. I don't want to list out the challenges here and ask you to validate. I problem space or enough insights on the kind of challenges people actually face when they are doing. Thing I ask is, what's the experience level? This will help me gauge like the information I'm getting from this person. Is this quality information? And it's not like I'm downgrading the information I will get from a junior level, but it's more like I'll be able to know proper whether to trust or really trust some information, and how to use at what point should I use the information from this level of designer, at what point should I not use this information. So then what's your ideal, where you get to tell me design thinking and all of those things. So after I've sent out these surveys, then things that stood out to me when I was doing the survey, people gave the same design process. So I want to be sure that people actually, like, some persons jump the question because it requires them to type. So I want to get further and know further process. Then the next question I also want to ask is, I want to know, let me write that down so I don't forget. So I want to know, how do you validate your design process? Like I want to use design thinking. So after I've done that, how do I tell this thing I did actually helped me design a good product? So I need to be able to tell that, because I want to translate that in the product I'm building. So let's go back to our mock interview. So praise, what do you do? This is where you tell me whether you are a designer or you're a product designer or you're a UX researcher. What that will tell me, okay, this is the right participant I'm supposed to be interviewing, but I'm not going to react to the answers you give. I'm actually telling you the answer interview. So then I'll explain further when we are done. So praise, what do you do?
Good evening. I'm a student.
Oh, so do
So can you hear
you?
me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, that's praise. Move on, Faith. Let's move on. This, I will now explain what the research is all about. So this research, I want to, like, we are currently carrying out a research on an open source product for designers when deciding on what process to execute to come up with new products or to come up with new design ideas. So I will ask you whether you're a designer, or hold on, I don't even necessarily need to ask whether you're a designer or need to know, because from your introduction you said you were a student. I'm going to actually, I was informed before choosing you, so I'm going to ask you, what's your design process? Straight to the point, what's your current design process? Or instead of me to ask you that design, how you come up with digital solutions for products, can you walk me through that? Great.
Okay, yes.
Oh,
So
I'm
I want to
calling
get, I
Praise.
want to know.
Faith. Sorry, Praise is not you yet. It's Faith.
Okay.
So, so Faith, are you still with us? I think Faith is not here. Praise says, like, how do you come up with solutions for problems that people approach you with to help them solve? How do you come up with your solution?
Okay. First thing first, before when I want when I'm being met with, like, when giving problems and I'm being asked to bring about a solution, design related, I look into my competitors,
Okay.
like to see what they have done, like to have a head with like a direction and a guideline to see, and then I can compare, like look into like five competitors, and then see if there is anything like lacking in it. But then while going through my competitors, I will also do an interview from my from my users. And when I do the interview, and when I notice some of their challenges that they face when using a product, and know, and compare it with the ones other people have made, like my competitors, and see, oh, it is lacking there, then I will now try to bring up solutions to it and look for a way in which to solve the problem for them.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reiterate on what Praise has told me. She said she checks competitor platforms. Do like generally she does research, she checks competitor platforms to note everything. And I actually jumped one step. I'm supposed to like create a safe environment. I'll be like, I'll tell her there's no right or wrong answer when you're when you're answering me. Like, I just want to get your opinions about the questions I want to ask you. So you don't necessarily need to feel like I've said the wrong thing, or like I gave the wrong answer. That's that will now help Praise to be more comfortable when answering me. That's a step I've missed. I hope we noted that. Are we still with me?
Yes.
Okay. I said I'm doing work interview, but I keep on explaining at every point. I don't know. But please, I hope we are understanding, like we're getting it there. Please, let's confirm. I need like 10 confirmations because we are many here. Can we hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
I can hear you. Getting what you're saying.
Okay. So I've asked her what's a design process. The answer I got from her will help me drill down on the survey answers I've gotten. So I'll use that to like choose what I'm putting on the check design process as design process for other people to use to validate their design process. Then Praise, the next question I want to ask is, how do you know that the design process you are using is actually is actually helping you build, or is actually helping you create solutions? So in other words, if I want to now further explain or make it in like use I don't want to use like design too much serious terms when I'm asking the question. So I want to like break down the question very well. I would have asked the question I'm actually asking her is, how does she validate a design process? But I'm asking her, how does she know that, how is she able to tell that the process she uses is able to, like, a she's able to create solutions for products. So Praise, how do you currently validate your design process?
Okay, for me to validate it, firstly, like from what you said when we started this class, you said you made mention of we have to have an aim when we want to start any design process. And so when I send out like my interview, and I get back feedback from my users, if it is not in line with my aim or my purpose of achieving that design, then I would surely know that, okay, I'm not really getting the answer, and there is need for me to conduct another interview or to set another research questions to meet my aim.
Okay, then And other many questions I want to ask, phrase, like you're asking open-ended question. I'm not asking this product design process is not the kind of problem I want to like say I will have that kind of open-ended question or close-ended question to ask. I think that I'm using find menu as case study, I will be able to make mistakes of asking you close-ended question. Like I will be like, do you eat out? But initially, before I recruited you, before I decided that you'll be my research participant, I know that you eat out, so I don't necessarily need to ask you whether you eat out. So that's all about user interviews that I want to like show us. You can read further and also watch YouTube videos to get better at it, but you get better every day when you practice. I'm sure this is not how we would have done user interview, like, but I'm trying to like create a story. I'm trying to like make you understand like the validations or approaches that you can use to do your user interviews. Thank you. So moving on, I'm going to present my screen again. Are we still with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Do we have any questions before I move on? That's the demo on the user interview. Do we have questions? Do you have any questions so far? Not just user interview, like starting from the point we said the class. Do we have any questions? Okay, I'll take that as cue that we are all good. Excuse me. Noise from my background. I'm apologizing for that. This is a full house. That's why. I'm so sorry. So we've demoed user interviews. So the next step is surveys. Then I'll be able to probe further on what I was explaining to us in surveys. So for surveys, it's more like a quantitative research method, but you can also get qualitative data from survey. If you remember earlier, I was asking them to write or to type, like what's their current design process. So that won't give me qualitative data, but I can use my own mind, or let me say sense, the same thing, because the data they are giving me is qualitative. They are basically typing. I have to synthesize what every user or every research participant has entered. So the next thing, okay, I've not actually read what I have here. Yeah, it's sometimes require large entries. Yes, for instance, if you have a very good survey that don't require people to type so much, you will need large entries to be able to you need large entries to be able to validate that, yes, like the number of person that chose one thing tells you that okay, that thing is close to be true. And if nobody actually uses it, means that thing actually is not applicable problem space they are trying to solve. So the tips for survey: avoid leading questions. This is not questions, or sometimes but mostly avoid leading questions in the user's head that like give them a mental model already before them even thinking about answering you. Like I said, the red in that color. Oh no, the red in that flower. I'm trying to create a leading question. Do you I've already told you that it's red. I've told you that it's flower. I've also asked you, do you like it? So when you're going to be a positive one, because I've planted the word like in your brain. So that's for leading question. So use clear wordings, like make sure what you are saying is clear, like what you are typing, your research question, your survey question is clear. It shouldn't require them to think so much before they understand what you are saying. You should, at a glance, I should know what you're asking me about. Don't make the survey long. It should be something that that won't take more than a minute for me to finish. Ask questions people can easily answer, and also usability test your surveys before sending it out. And test the survey, like giving the survey, will I fill it, or will I drop off? All of those things before you send it out. So I'm going to be sharing with us find menu survey or design process survey. I've showed us find design process survey. Okay, I'll just go ahead with it. So design survey, you're not just throwing them the question. You're trying, you have to like give them context to what they are trying to feel. Like you're giving them context so they have something they're thinking about when they're answering your questions. I said a quick product design process checklist and identify measures of validating design process. If you remember in my interview, the two questions I asked her was what's our design process and how does she validate. So kindly note that your response will go a long way. Like you're trying to probe people to help you further fill the survey. So not having access to a checklist for frequent validation of design processes. If there is need for this solution at all, also note that these are an open source projects for product designers. So anybody can contribute to this project. You don't have to be this or that. So I've gone through these research questions. Oh, let me go to and I have how many questions. And I know this some of these, because of that, I will show you the kind of responses I get. Some designers, they are just like, people don't want to feel it. People are not interested in feeling it, so they just feel it. So you are just able to like choose the one that is most valid. Here, I'm asking them about design, what I mean, or what I mean by design process validation, or how do I mean explain this, but it's about how of the design process. So here we the process checklist. That means this is the date. I'm using your information to basically create the process checklist. We create at the completion of this. Again, this is an open source, like all of those things. How do you validate? What do you check your design process? When will you regard a design process as invalid? Do you have problem validating? And if you notice, I don't have multiple choice answers here because I said avoid leading questions already. That's why I don't have multiple choice questions. In other surveys from persons that are not UX designers, you will see multiple choice questions a lot because that's the easiest way to get entries, for you to give it to them and then they are giving you the same thing back. But you won't be able to get quality data from that kind of survey. And you'll find that it's very few designers or UX researchers, or very few use cases that you can use multiple choice question because you're giving them a list of answers and you're asking them to choose from the answer. That are you open to helping this project further? So this is when I recruited persons that will be available for focus group. Like, would they be willing to join me and other persons that want to join to actually take part in focus group discussion? Do we have questions on surveys? Let's go through the response first. Let's go through the response. So I is where with product design process, and most of the answers I got is yes. This is kind of setting my mood that okay, this is a problem worth solving. This is a research worth my time. So next one, their challenges with product design process, and everyone answered the way they want. Because I'm asking them to type, I have in mind that most person information for me, and the ones that are right, I'm going to use this data to in my next let me say research endeavor, which is doing user interviews to validate the entries from my UX research. Am I talking to myself? Can we still hear me? Are we still following?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'm following.
Yes, we're following.
Yeah, so what's your design product design process experience level? Here I'm able to now know that okay, this is why this person is saying what they are saying. This is why this person is saying. So I have about 50% persons that feel the survey are in intermediate level, 20% are senior level, no principal level. Principal level is like top level. No principal level filled it. Senior level filled it. Lead level filled it. Like, so what's the ideal design process? Everybody gave me their design process. A lot of person gave me design thinking process. That means that a lot of person use design thinking process. There's another design thinking design process that they call double diamond. Some person wrote it. I'm just trying to remember the entries because I don't want to read all of this. So the next one, how often do you follow the design process? Like, do you always follow? Are you rigid when you are designing? Like, I must do user interview, or I must do design thinking process. Like, I must ideate, I must brainstorm, I must prototype. Do you always do that? For me to know that, to validate the answers I got here again, how often do you follow your design process? Everybody, most persons say this sometimes. It's not all the time. It means that you can be flexible with your design process, which is not a lie. Never. Some people don't, but some persons say never. 10%. Like, I hope we are understanding. I want to jump. Time is going. I just noticed that this is 24. So these are the persons that volunteered to help me with my focus group. So let's go back to our slide. I've demoed these slides. And whenever you are sending out survey, the question you should always have in mind: will the persons I'm surveying be willing to, and will they be willing to? That's one. And will they be able to provide me with truthful answer to my questions? Because if you don't have truthful answer to those questions, there's no way that that survey report is valuable or has quality, and you would not be able to know because you're basically not seeing them. You're just getting what they give you. So the next one I want us to touch on is usability testing. Usability testing allows you to to evaluate a product or experience and to be able to gauge people's satisfaction. Are users happy using your products? Is your product usable? Are they able to complete their task? So for you to do that, tips to identify tips that will help you create a good usability study. You have to define the goal of the test. Like, what are you testing? Are you testing a feature, a feature of an app? Are you are you trying to, like, what are you testing exactly? You should have a goal in mind that you want to achieve at the end. Give participant context, like give them some information when they are feeling or when they are doing it. This can be a live usability, like they call it facilitated and unfacilitated, or you can call it moderated and unmoderated. Also on interviews, we have did I cover that? No, there's no need to go back to that. Is it survey? Okay. There's no, don't worry, never mind. I was thinking I didn't say some things that I'm supposed to say, but then I actually covered them. So define the goal, give participant context. If it's a live, like we had interview, for instance, I shared a link here, and I asked one of you, do we want to demo usability testing? Can we hear me? Are we tired? Do we want to demo usability testing, or should we leave it? Because
Please, let's do it.
this is the last class for this week. Okay, let me send us a link. We have two types of usability testing. We have moderated and unmoderated. Moderated is the one that I'll send you a link to this. I can send you a link. You can do it via Google Meet or Zoom or a live call, or the person comes to your office, or you go to the person's, and the person is going through your platform or what you are testing, and you are observing the person and you're asking the person how they are feeling at what point, what they are doing at what point, and at any point rather, on the products or software or feature or experience. Then unmoderated is the one I can use tools like UX Tweak, usabilitytest.com. I'll create a prototype. Probably I have a Figma prototype. I would now embed that to Maze. You can use Maze, you can use UX Tweak, you can use any of those. There are a lot of usability test tools, and most of them are paid. So if you have the budget for that, or if you are able to use a free plan or anything that you're able to use, so you just you just put the prototype, and then you add descriptions and all of the necessary details that will make your usability test, because it's unmoderated, that will give the persons that are helping you do this test a good experience, which is part of the tips I wrote here. Give participant context, some info, all of those. Create tasks you want participants to complete, because they are measuring the completion rates. You want to actually have some tasks that they are creating, and you want to know that these tasks are tailored to the goal of the test. Is it to test, for instance, I want to test the like feature on Twitter. How many persons like Twitter? How many persons use the like? How many persons use? How many persons use the like feature on Twitter when they were scrolling through things? How was it? Was it hard for you to create press that button? All of those things, you're testing their experience. Test the test before you send it out. Like, you also go through the unmoderated test first before you send it out for person, so that you don't send them a broken link or something doesn't happen wrongly along the way. um yeah, so let's do a test. I use US Tweak to test product design process checklist. But right now I can't access the link anymore, so I'm going to give us a prototype, or I'm just going to give the platform is live. Anyone can use it. If you want to make your work easy, you don't want to stress yourself too much thinking about what design process you want to use when you're building it. Yes, Victoria, I'm just seeing your comments. Yeah, good evening. Close-ended questions are easier to answer. Of course, they are easier to answer. That's when you need straight answers. For instance, the case where I asked you, do you what did I even ask? Oh my god, I can't remember. 1 minute, 1 minute. 1 minute, give me a minute. Sorry about that. So what was I saying? So I was asked, like, there's a point where I asked a close-ended question that required the user to feel yes or no. It's not a rigid it's not rigid that you must not use close-ended question, but be very careful when you're using close-ended question, and also know when you're using, or know the right time to use close-ended question. So let's drop the design process checklist. Let me get the prototype. 6:30. Oh my god. So when you are putting this link on platforms like Maze or UX Tweak, they will ask you to make the file easy. They'll ask you to make the file easy. Like, the file should not have redundant pages, so that they will be able to track. Is it praise that is volunteering for our usability test study, or faith who is volunteering now? So you're going to share your screen, then you're just going to like go through it. Or let's do this another time. Should we go ahead with this? I don't want to stress us because I think we are almost getting. Let me know how many of us are on board with actually doing the usability test. How many of
Can we
us?
fix a volunteer?
Sorry, what did you say?
Please, can we fix like just a class tomorrow for it, even if it is 1 hour? That is if we all agree on it, just to go through it.
Okay. I'm just thinking about my tomorrow, like how tomorrow is going to be for me. Are we happy? Can we do it weekend? Can we do it weekend? If we must do it, can we do it weekend? How many of us want us to do it weekend? And how many of us will come if we're doing it? So it's up to you guys. I'm available weekend. I'm not sure I'll be available tomorrow. If we can do it weekend, I'm very available to us. Saturday. Yeah. So let me move on quickly to the next thing. So when you've done you've pushed out a usability test, you're going to get feedbacks that would help you gauge user satisfaction, the efficiency of your platform. Like, are they able to? Okay, thank you. Please, everyone can drop their responses so I know how many persons are interested and know that this is something you guys want to do. So I don't be like we are I don't know the English to use. Let's forget about it. Then, so this like a result from uxtweak.com. Like, it gives me, I want from the prototype. I sent out a prototype for users to use the platform, so I'll be able to know the usability of the platform. When I talk about usability, I'm talking about three things. I'm talking about user satisfaction, the effectiveness, the efficiency, like how long it took them, and effectiveness, are they able to complete their task? So these are the responses. You can see how the responses look. You just need to like synthesize this information, which is something we're supposed to cover too. How you synthesize your research information, your research data. How you synthesize research data so that you'll be able to like have make informed decisions on the experience you're trying to build. I had about 17 respondents, and funny enough, only 2 persons completed their tasks. It means that is either the link I sent out is bad, like it's or UX tweak is not easily navigable for them, or the experience is actually bad, because only 2 persons completed it. So to further help me, because of the I don't have any platform to blame here. I don't know whether it's my link, the link I shared out. I can't tell because I tested it before sending it out. I also don't know whether it's from UX Tweak experience because I tested that too. So what you can do to validate that is actually asking questions and getting feedback from them. So let's check analysis. This is how the feedback entries look for each person responded to. They started at, it will tell you the time it took them to do what they want to do. It will tell you the questions they answered. It will tell you tasks completed, task successful. Excuse me, 1 minute. It will tell you what they did. Did they abandon the survey? If you want to see more details, let me see. Yeah, it will tell you the kind of device they joined with. Is it with their smartphone? Is it with Apple or whatever, iOS? It will tell you the browser they use, if it was on a browser. It will tell you the screen resolution, to tell you their location. This one doesn't have location. There are some that have locations. Yeah, this person answered from Luton, England, United Kingdom. So those are the kind of data you get. So analyzing it, talking about validating the data, I said I added questionnaire when I was sending out the survey. So I added how was it, this after this post study when they have done, what's it called, when they've gone through the experience that I want them to go through. So I asked them how was their experience using the checklist. So let me drop the link to the checklist here first instead of the prototype. Checkdegree.com. Where is it? It's live now, so anybody can use it. You all can use it. It's basically help you narrow down your design process, like, and know what to do next. You won't get lost at any point. If you want to use it, use it. And if you find it valuable, that's still a good thing. That would be nice. So where I was, what was I? I've forgotten where I was. So my people. Okay, I was on UX tweak. Sorry. So I asked how was the experience. Somebody said it was awesome. It covers the entire design thinking process. Another respondent said it was good, pretty smooth and self-explanatory. I did have to read through some of the text. If you check the link I shared in the chat now, you understand what she meant by, or what he meant by. I did have to read through the text in details. But ideally, you are required to read if you want to get, this is reducing your process of choosing a process that you should execute for your design process. I had a lot of text to read, and there's some text colors were difficult to notice. So that's one thing I got from her. So I will now go back to my prototype and see the colors, see where the colors, or if you have a accessibility like color contrast checker, you can also use that. I believe Manuel has taught you guys how to do that. So task completeness, it's one of the checks. You must check, did they complete, were they able to complete their tasks? Did they not complete their tasks? I mean, how long did it take them to complete their task? That's another one. Then the parts, then this is going to show me the touch points. From where did they move to where did they move to where? Like they went from home to product. David, I labeled this. I labeled the pages to their response, corresponding names. Like I labeled design process as design process, or I label each process, each page with the name of the process or the name of the content of that page. This is showing me the journey the users took to actually do what they're supposed to do, and I have all of them. So all of those processes
How
we still there. Somebody trying to talk? Yeah, please go ahead.
It was a mistake.
Okay, please. Okay. So that's all. Like I gave them a I said you should give some context. So I said simulate yourself using the checklist for any kind of product problem. So this will now make them, okay, I just want to, I'm assuming, just the way I dropped the link, you're basically going through that link I dropped. That's you simulating yourself. But since it's scripted, like it's something that I'm asking you to do, that's why I used the word simulate yourself using this checklist for any kind of problem. So this will help me tell if this checklist is useful to you. So lostness, were they lost when they were using it? Unique design views to complete tasks. Were they lost? Minimum total design views to complete tasks. Like, did they add some, like, how on average, how many of them actually forgot or did not know where they were at any point? So you got like 0.63%. You can recalculate it. The maximum is 1, and I got 0.6. That means that a lot of persons were lost. So I had to reiterate on the prototype before we actually built what you have in in the link I shared. So they did not leave any comment for me. Yeah. I think, let me see. Is there any question here? Okay, I heard about this post. These are the post questions I asked to further validate. So what do you think we have done wrong in the checklist? Like, did I put the wrong information on the checklist? Did I probably put a process that is not necessary? So I asked that, and they answered, I feel it's perfect. Didn't get to see personas, but I feel it's not a big deal. I love them because they they help me be more empathetic when designing and not thinking about myself. I didn't even read this. Nothing was wrong in my opinion. I would just say that some text colors, this person is still complaining about text color, to notice a light mode version would be nice. If you notice, if you check the link I shared, it's a dark version. So I added that to a I added that to features that they can build later on the design checklist. So I said, what do you think we have failed to capture in the checklist? Because it's a design process and everybody can use it. So when you are using it, did you notice that something was missing? So somebody say nothing for now, looks good to me. Extra resources in the form of articles, templates. It will, for instance, a beginner is using this checklist now. If there are terms like I said, affinity mapping or diary studies, I added that, and you don't understand what that means. If I had added resources to that, you'll be able to know, okay, do I actually need this process in my design process? Should I use diary studies? Should I do affinity mapping? All of those things. This helped with that. Then how will you use the checklist to know whether they will actually use it and to know what other use cases I might have missed when I created it. They said I can share with product managers to understand design flow and work to understand where they come in. This like it's difficult to explain to. I can resonate with this because some pro managers don't understand design process. Like, they think they ask you to design, they just basically believe that you can just go and design and bring it. You are not going through, you are not doing research, or you are just designing and bringing. Things like that happen. This person say easy to get recommendation on steps to use to execute a design process, easy to validate my design process, use it as my portfolio project checklist. So it means when I'm creating a portfolio, I'm using, for my case study, I'm using these processes for those case study. That's what that means. Like, I'm translating this, and as you're doing all of this is you synthesizing research information or research data, and you'll be able to know the kind of report to give and the kind of deliverable to create. So what I did basically, after I've done this, I now went further to create a pre-RD so that I'll be able to communicate with the owner that these are the things I need in the check. These are the things I want to add in the checklist based on the information I got. So this is me after I've been.
We can hear you.
Okay. I'm almost rounding up. I didn't know today's class would be so long. Oh my god. So I created I felt PRD was the best way for me to add all the contents, because I'm basically I'm doing the UX writing for the project. I'm handling everything about the project. So it meant that I need somewhere I can write what I want to put on the checklist I was creating. So I use PRD, product requirement document. So you use it to document or write things about a product or feature you want to build, and you can draft the constraints, other stuffs that you want to build later. All of those things you can research. You can Google or research or make findings on PRD, but it's not necessarily under UX research. It's just my choice, like the best way for me to communicate and have because I have a lot of readings to do. I have a lot of readings to give reports to the persons I'm working with. There are sometimes that you need to like create an infographics that has analytics. If you got qualitative data that has analytics of the kind of information you were looking for, So see what I said, this PRD is going to help us track the insights from the survey, stating the consistent responses and crafting user stories. User stories help me narrow down on the design processes I would actually put on the checklist to help create profiles for our target user, identify opportunities for upgrades. Because uh, during this research, I was able to get extra information. So I used that. I left that as upgrade opportunities, like version 2 opportunity, or and yeah, upgrade of version 2 opportunity, like something you can use to improve the platform opportunities. Let me put it that way. So the design process value proposition for open source contribution, like let me run through it. Who would use the design process? Motivation is based from fact that most persons find it difficult to know the next steps. Are we still with me? You can see my screen, right? So I don't have to read everything.
Yes, ma.
Sorry, I'm drinking water. So I covered the onboarding, how will the platform work, key takeaways that would this adding, because I said you can validate your design process with this. So I make sure I put good information and good content and context for you to be able to know that you are doing the right thing. So when you check the design, the link I shared on the products, you'll be able to get better understanding of all of these details, and I can explain further if we have the class. When we have the class, we said we should do for Saturday. So that's it. I've demoed to us usability testing. Oh, I did not, but then we did a little bit of demo. So focus group, should I move? Should we leave it for today, or we should complete it? Because I'm seeing like I'm 2 hours. It's not easy. Should I continue the class, or we should postpone the rest to the Saturday we are meeting again? Because I still have about we have we have to cover focus group. Focus group is a large scale interview, just like I have a lot of you on this call, so I can do focus group with you. So we basically talk about topic. I can choose topic around, please, how has been your experience doing your mentorship at Web3 Ladies, and I ask you questions around that and get insights from you on your experiences, your motivations. Are you happy with what we are doing? Do you like how you're learning? Do you want improvement? Do you want improvement? What would you like to change? All of those things, we can discuss that, and we can talk to one another. It's not necessary that I'm asking you a question and giving me back a response. We are actually conversing. You can talk to each other like two other persons can talk, but it's required for you to have a moderator so that the discussion can go as planned, because we are all humans. So avoid asking leading questions. Leading question like planting answer in the person's. If I say leading question, it means like I'm planting answer in the person's brain. It can be physical or virtual. Yeah, virtual, just like we're having this call right now. So I'm jumping the demo. So these are the things I wanted to learn about. I can touch on them, or touch on them further if we meet on Saturday, as we are thinking about meeting, as we are planning to meet. Yeah, I actually didn't talk about competitive analysis deeply, but I know I mentioned something around it. There is diary studies, there's benchmark studies, and other things. There is also UX research tools. You need to like learn about UX research tools too. You need to also learn how to synthesize your research findings. Something like I did from the presentation from the usability test result report I showed us earlier. So that's all, and our assignment still remains. So let me get feedback from you guys for the remaining 10 minutes we have left. How has been the class? Can we all hear me? Can we hear me? Am I talking to myself?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm actually on the road, so I don't want to speak. But the class has been insightful so far. But I will drop my question on the Slack channel regarding the assignment and how to go about it. Thank you.
Oh, okay, thanks so much for that. Is there anybody else that wants to contribute? How has been, like, did you learn? What has been your experience with the class? Has the class been boring? Did you get takeaways and all of those things? So that we know that we actually did cover UX research well, and we know how would arrange the schedule for Saturday. I'm waiting for feedback. You can drop it in the chat if you don't want to talk. You can type in the chat, please. Yeah, let me stop the recording. And if you have questions, I actually forgot that. Do you have any questions you want to ask? We have like 7 minutes left. Do we have questions? I'm using your silence as a cue that is a no.